What's going on, y'all? It's your ordinary brown guy here today, and we are going to be taking an in-depth look at the Hohem ISteady kit with filler light. I just got this off of Amazon. It's around $140. We're going to be taking an in-depth look at it and testing it out to see some of the functionality of the gimbal itself, as well as I'll give you guys my recommendation if this is a good purchase for your for various videographers, photographers, and whatnot. So let's get into it. So starting off, the Hohem ISteady Plus gimbal kit. It's a phone gimbal kit which comes with this little light up top there, which allows you to fill in your photography or videography with that light in low light settings. We're gonna try this out on my S22 Ultra phone, which is on the larger side of phones, but I'm seeing that this thing should be able to handle the size of that phone and phones around that size. It does go down to smaller phones as well, but make sure to go onto their website and check to see whether your phone is compatible with the gimbal before purchasing, of course. So inside the ISteady phone gimbal kit, this is what you're going to get: a really nice solid carrying case slash protective case, a nice black slim design, easily can fit into your backpack, into the laptop sleeves even, because of its very small diameter or thickness, but very good look, and it feels like it's more so to keep the gimbal from scratching more than actually protecting the gimbal. I feel like if this were to fall on a hard surface, you're still going to end up damaging the gimbal. So inside the case itself, what you're going to find in here is first the warranty card. You're going to find the instruction manual. You're going to find a mini tripod which can screw into the bottom of the gimbal. You're going to find a USB to USB-C charging cable, which can be used to charge the gimbal itself, or you can connect it from the gimbal to your phone to actually use the gimbal as a power bank and charge your phone while using the gimbal. The actual gimbal itself is right here, and the light, that's everything in the box itself, but right here is the little fill light that comes included with it, and this just goes magnetically onto the gimbal like that. So when you have your phone on you, you can turn this bad boy on just by clicking the button on the back. Right here you're going to have the main power button for the light, so holding that for 3 seconds is going to power on the light itself. Then you have these two additional buttons here, which are going to be used to turn up and down the strength of the light. So pressing up is going to turn it even brighter, which gets very bright. This is almost blinding to look at. And you can go down to a very low dimness, which this is the lowest it's going to go. It's manageable, and it's still going to provide quite a bit of fill light. And just to power it off, you're going to hold that M button again, 3 seconds, and it's off. The gimbal itself has a really good build quality to it. It's got like a hard plastic portions for the actual motors. This is a 3-axis stabilization gimbal. So there's 3 motors, 1, 2, and 3 here, encased in this hard plastic. It feels pretty robust. I do imagine though, if you were to drop it, you will see some chipping or some damage to the gimbal. The handle itself has this like a leathery type feel to it. Gives it a good grip, and it feels really nice in the hand actually, as opposed to some of the other gimbals which are just the hard plastic. This one is a really good form fit for the hand, and weighing in at just under 300 grams, just under 500 grams, is really good. It's not going to wear you out too fast. Of course, if you're doing a couple hours with it, you will definitely start feeling it in your shoulder, but then again, you have 2 hands to switch. Taking a look at the gimbal itself, on the front, you have a couple of little buttons. The first one, this red button, is going to be used to power on the gimbal. Holding that for 3 seconds is going to power it up, but clicking it is going to show you these indicator lights on the side to show you the battery level of the gimbal. Obviously, top is 100%, 75%, 50%, 25%. So just clicking it once again will show you that. Holding it for 3 seconds is going to turn the gimbal on. You'll see a green flashing light there, and it'll make a audible sound and rumble. And that's it. That's the gimbal. It's on right now, so I can turn it as needed. Right now it's not balanced to anything. Obviously there's no load on it, so it's not going to do anything. Once I put the phone on there, it'll have better luck at that. On the front here, you also have the back to the power button. The power button, once the gimbal is connected to the phone via Bluetooth, you can use this button to start and stop videos, use it to capture pictures, as well as to start various different functions. On the top here, on top of the red, there's this black button, which is the mode button. You're going to use that to cycle between the various modes of the gimbal itself. There are 4 modes on this gimbal, the first one being pan follow, which is going to lock the two of the 3 axes, allowing the gimbal to turn left to right. The next one is a pan tilt follow, which will allow it to go left, right, and up and down, panning or with the subject as you turn it. The last one, or the third one, is the lock functionality. This is going to hold all 3 of the axes gimbals locked in place, so it's going to stay focused on the same spot as you move the gimbal around. And the last one there is the POV function. POV function basically opens all 3 of the axes and allows the gimbal to move freely as you're moving around the place. It's going to give a more lifelike action to your shot. Also on the front here, you're going to have a little wheel. This wheel is used to turn the gimbal manually. You can use it to go up, down, side angles, however you want to control your gimbal. And then over here, you have a slider. The slider can go up and down. Once you connect this to your phone, you can change whether this is being used to change the zoom of your camera versus you can also program this to change the focus of your camera. So in is going up and out is going down. On the side, you'll see a little thread here where you can attach other accessories to the gimbal. If you wanted to have an additional light, additional camera on the side here, you can definitely do that with this little thread. And you also have this compartment here, which has a USB and the USB-C ports. The USB-C is going to be used to charge the gimbal itself, whereas the USB port is going to be used to connect from the gimbal to your phone to charge your phone, using this gimbal as the power bank. And the last part, on the back, you're going to have the trigger. The trigger has multiple different functions. Holding the trigger while using the gimbal will put it in sport mode, which allows it to go keep up with much faster movements. If you're doing running or cycling or various other sports, you're going to put it into sport mode by holding that trigger. Pressing it 2 times is going to lock the axes, and that's going to be very useful if you want to change something really quick rather than functioning through your modes. Pressing this button 4 times is going to change the way the camera is tilted, so we'll take a look at that afterwards. It's going to change your camera's ultra wide view from one side to the other, so you're not having anything interfere with its field of view. The third one, if you press that, or if you press it twice, it's going to recenter the gimbal, which is going to be good if you're moving around with the wheel. Pressing it twice is just going to put it back right into place. So we're going to take a good look at this gimbal and use it out in the field to see how well it keeps up. The gimbal is required if you want some of that additional functionality, such as the dolly shot, the inception shot, as well as just being able to control your phone using the gimbal buttons here. You do need to download the Hohem app. which is free on the Play Store. It's pretty quick and easy to learn. We will take a look at the app itself and some of the functionality on the app, but definitely download the app if you want to make the most use of this gimbal. First things first, what we're going to do is actually use put our S22 Ultra onto the gimbal, and I'll show you quick and easy how it is to actually balance and stabilize this gimbal. All there is this little lever or knob back here. You loosen it by turning it counterclockwise, and you can push it up or down to fit the size of your phone. Your phone is going to go into this slot here, and it expands like this, so your phone will fit right in there, knocked up against this slot here, which has a rubber cushion for your phone to sit properly. But that's all you're going to do. Start by putting your phone into the slot by widening it out. And pushing it all the way back to the cushion itself. Once it's there, you're going to loosen the knob and try to balance the gimbal using that. Mine at the max settings is still letting the phone come out or sway too much, so I'm going to push it in just a little bit. And that's again too much. So you kind of just fiddle with it just a little until it balances itself like that. So right now it's not moving any which way without me touching it. Once you have that, you're just going to tighten the knob and your gimbal is all set up and ready to go. You can turn the gimbal on again by holding the red button for 3 seconds. It's going to power up, and there you have it. Your gimbal is now stabilized for your phone. Once the phone is on your gimbal and it's stabilized, you can test it out, and right now it's on the pan follow function, so it's going to, as I turn this, it's going to follow and sway a little further with the phone on there. What I found is when you have this fill light on, it's very difficult to use the gimbal for a couple of reasons. When you have the fill light on, this gimbal has the ability to swap automatically from landscape to portrait mode depending on how you're holding the camera. If I'm holding the camera straight up like this, it's going to keep it in landscape. As soon as I turn it like this, it's going to go into portrait mode. If you keep this fill light on, it actually interferes with the motors to the point where it won't be able to actually move. So it'll get stuck, you'll have to remove the light and then retry the functionality. We talked about the trigger with the 4-tap functionality or the 3-tap functionality, which is going to swap it for the field of view. 4-tap, and there it is. So the camera is going to start on this side, 4 taps, and then it's going to end up on this side. So it allows the flexibility to turn or change your camera's field of view. If something's interfering, you just tap that 4 times and you're good to go. So yeah, the fill light does get in the way a little bit, but it is helpful if you're staying in one mode. If you're just going to be vlogging with yourself, you can put it on at the bottom there, and the fill light is going to stay there and it's not going to interfere with anything. But as soon as you try to switch it to portrait or change the field of view using the 4 taps on the trigger, it will be affected by this fill light. One of the downfalls of this gimbal itself. So we're not going to need this, the tripod, but we are going to give it a couple of tries. First, we're going to take a look at the app itself. We're going to hop right into it and go ahead and download the Hohem app by going to the Play Store first. And in the top, you're just going to type in Hohem Joy, and it's going to show up right there. I have the app already installed because I've taken a look through the app, but install that Hohem Joy app. We're going to go ahead and open it. When you open the Hohem Joy app, this is what it's going to look like. It does need access to your phone, your camera, your photos, your mic, and so on, just so it can actually, it basically is a camera app that you're going to be using it for. So right now it has my camera here in front of me, using the camera off of my phone. So there's a bunch of different things that you can look through on the app itself, but we're gonna start off by looking at this bottom right corner here, which has these 3 circles. These 3 circles is where you can, so actually we're gonna start on the bottom here. So there's multiple different options for your phone to record. The first one being panoramic videos or photos are going to allow you to get a very wide field of view. If there's lots going on around you, it basically takes a bunch of pictures and pushes them together. That can be used as one very wide picture. The photo one is fairly self-explanatory. When your phone is on this, you can hit the gimbal with the red button on the gimbal, and it is going to take a picture. Changing on the top right here, if you change this little Z to the F, which is the focus, you can use the little scroller on the gimbal to change the focus up and down. But if you keep it on zoom, you can actually use the gimbal to go in and out on your zoom to the max levels that your phone camera allows. The next one up there is changing the flash on your camera, whether you want it off on smart or auto. The next one is a filters that they have built into the app. Enabling beauty gives you these features down here, allowing you to slim or resize the eyes for a more aesthetic look if needed. I don't really recommend using those features unless you need it. As well as these various filters down here. You can scroll through them, basic filters that you would see on almost any camera app. So we're going to turn the filters off. The last one is gesture controls. Gesture controls are certain gestures you can do with your hand to start the videos or take photos if you're not directly with your gimbal itself. So I haven't allowed this, but it will also allow your gimbal to face track you, and it will follow you. So we will do a little test of that later on once we can. Back down to the bottom, the next setting we have here is videos, which is self-explanatory. We'll stop videos. A time lapse can be used on low power, which will record for a prolonged period of time and go through kind of changing season, changing weather type of things like that. That's what that will be used for. Slow motion is going to use the built-in slow motion from this app itself. I haven't quite used it, but we will give it a shot out later on. And the last one is where you'll have a bunch of different options in the moment section. Some of these include the dolly zoom. There's also a smart dolly version of that, which gives a cool little zooming look to it. Smart motion time lapse will allow you to time lapse and change the composition of the photo as it gets darker. Panoramic video, just another panorama, but in video format. This one I'm not quite sure exactly, but you can play music through your phone or through the app, and it will rotate according to the music. Not a function I see myself using a lot. The next one that the last one really that we're going to be looking at is the inception shot. The inception shot rotates the gimbal 600 degrees as you're moving to get this inception look that used a lot in videography in films to get or build suspense. These other ones are more so filters that have the all these built-in words and things that will come up on the video itself. So some pretty cool things to look through. We'll take a look more into that as we do or go start using the gimbal. So we're going to back out of that, staying in the video mode. At the top, you have different options, so you can have the app focus and track your face. So once you hit that button, face tracking on your gimbal, it's going to follow you around. Right now this is just in my hand, but we're going to try putting it on the gimbal and I'll show you that feature. Whereas object tracking allows something other than a face, so if you have your dog or a paper airplane, you can put it on that, bounded around that item, and it will follow it. The next one allows you to set a timer. You're going to turn that tracking off. A timer to start your videos. Normally I just leave it as instant, so as soon as you press the button, it's going to start the videos or the photo. You do have the option in this app to have your phone placed on auto mode, or if your phone allows it, putting it into manual, which allows you to change the ISO, making it lighter or darker. The shutter speed, which is also going to affect how much light's coming into the video or the photo. So a couple different things to customize the look of your video or picture. The screen just takes you back to the Hohem main app, where it goes over a couple of different new items releasing by Hohem. There's options for tutorials on how to use the app, how to use the gimbals. There's also a built-in editor which allows you to edit your videos. We won't be covering much on that because I will be doing my editing in DaVinci Resolve. And here you have the option to register your account and link your gimbal to that account. We're not going to be going over that either, but at the top you can scroll through the various gimbals for the tutorials and so on, as well as a help section at the top there. But that's all for the app. We're going to go take a look at the gimbal and start putting it to use.
Me as I move the gimbal, it's going to alter the axes to fit that. And right now it's on the POV, so it comes at weird angles, so you'll kind of see it at a diagonal. If I turn it to pan follow, it's going to stick just on the left and right along the sway, keeping me in there. If I turn it to lock, however, I'm going to change the mode to lock. It's now going to stay with me at all times without that swaying motion, which is really cool, following my face, and it did lose me right there. Especially when it's faced towards high light, I find even when in a window, it will lose you because of the sensor, unfortunately, in the app. But it does a really good job other than that, of following me around. So this would be ideal for the vloggers who are going to be traveling and walking around. You do have to hold, like right now, I'm holding the gimbal out at my full arm's length just to get this wide view. If you hold it with your elbow bent, this is probably where you're going to be at for most of the time, where you're going to just be able to get your head in the shot for the most part, maybe a little in the background. Unfortunately, with this gimbal, being for the phone, how the phone sits in it, I'm unable to plug my lav mic into it, so I'm currently using the raw microphone from my phone, which isn't terrible. However, it's going to pick up a lot of the noises in the background, such as my dogs playing right now. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do a little test walking from my room here, or the office, down a couple stairs and into the bonus room. And then I'm going to try it running to see what the stabilization's like with this gimbal. I currently have it in the pan follow, so two of the axes are locked up. I'm actually going to switch it to POV, so it should smooth all three axes as I move. So here's walking. And now we're going to try running back this way. See how well it holds up. Keto, can you move? There are the puppies. Hi, boys. Okay, now we're going to try running, which has a lot more arm movement, but we're going to see how well that does it. And that's in POV, but what we'll also try is in the pan follow, which I'll try right now. So this is walking the pan follow. It's important to note that the S22 Ultra already has quite a bit of stabilization in-house. This just adds to it. So now I'm going to run back again in pan follow. And here we are. So as you can see, it does a really good job with the stabilization. Even when you're running, which is fine. This thing doesn't weigh a whole lot, so you can hold it for quite some time. However, if you're going to be holding it for a couple hours, it's probably going to take a toll on your arms, as anything will. But those are the important things with this gimbal, the important functions. You can change the frame rate when you're in video, but you have to change any of the settings, you have to stop the recording and start a new one, which is unfortunate. Other than the filters, actually no, even the filters, you do have to do that. So it's unfortunate that you can't change things on the fly. You would have to end your video and start it. So now I've switched the camera to the front. As you can see, it's pretty dark in here. The RGB lights are going on in the back there, just part of the office. But this is it with the fill light on. This is on the lowest settings, so it does provide quite a bit of fill. You can see my face a lot clearer, and we're going to turn it up to max settings, which is definitely overkill in this situation. It's too overpoweringly bright on my face. However, it does a really good job for people who are looking for that ability to vlog in darker scenarios. I'm going to turn that off because it is a bit blinding. We can turn the lights back on. But that's really it. That's all I really wanted to cover with this gimbal. It does a really good job for anyone who's going to be focused on using their phone for vlogging or even for taking pictures. It does a great job. Using the app, unfortunately, to do a lot of the cool things with this phone or with this gimbal, you do need to download the app, which is unfortunate because you're going to be touching your phone a lot, changing things on the app, which does make it a little more difficult and annoying to have to deal with. But the phone does a really good job of stabilization, and that's what the whole point of getting the gimbal is. So you're gonna, other than not being able to have your microphone attached to it, not being able to use the fill light in certain scenarios, this gimbal does a really good job in everything else that it's meant to do, which is stabilize your phone for stable content. So I would recommend this product for anyone who does like to vlog. And does a lot of walking around with it, because it does do its job perfectly fine, especially at the price point of $140 on Amazon, and sometimes it does go on sale. It's definitely a good purchase. I know Hohem does have other newer models of this iSteady gimbal, which do cost a little more, which do come with a AI focus sensor, but you're gonna end up spending over $200. For someone who's doing this just for the fun of it, definitely check this gimbal out. It does a good enough job for the gimbal stabilization. You won't regret it. That's all I got today, guys. If you like this video, make sure to click the thumbs up button down below. I also did a video comparing the Hohem ISteady handheld gimbal stabilizer versus the MT2 Hohem gimbal stabilizer, which is a gimbal stabilizer that can be used for DSLRs, phones, and GoPros and things like that. If you want to check that video out, I'll have it linked in the top corner here. Other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I'm your ordinary brown guy. Peace. If you're interested in purchasing the Hohem ISteady Gimbal Stabilizer, I'll have a link down below in the description that goes to my affiliate account, so I do get a portion of the proceeds. It'll definitely help support the channel and encourage me to start doing more videos like this. Definitely check it out, guys. Thanks for tuning in.